Hey guys, so it's a new week here in Global, and we have a new unit by the name of Amnelis. And sort of the way I'm trying to remember the name Amnelis is to take the word amnesia and just change the last part to list. So amnesia, Amnelis, you know, close enough, right? So it's kind of looking like she's going to be a pretty good unit. She's going to be 100 cost, but I think she actually does live up to the 100 cost, I guess, value. She's going to have some very decent healing power. She's not going to necessarily be a healer, but she's going to be more of a sustain. She has some of those pretty good arithmetician heals, so that's going to be great. She has that built-in courage that we've been seeing lately that I believe is not dispellable. So it's as long as she is above 78% HP, she will not take the KO. She also has the heal that we've also been seeing on units like Snow, where if she gets under 50% heal, she gets the heal from that. Under 50% HP, she gets healed from that. So that's pretty good. And it looks like in War of the Visions calc that it's actually an AoE buff. So I'm not entirely sure how that works, but I guess we'll have to see. She also has cast time manipulation. She has built-in spirit penetration, and she has a couple of different debuffs that I think will actually help her. So I think that she's going to be pretty good. So again, one of the other things that everyone's been pointing out about her is that they kind of placed her in a different spot for global. And I gotta say that I feel like Gumi did a pretty good job with this. I think last week a lot of people were sort of wondering where the Crystal Warriors, 2 weeks ago actually, where the Crystal Warriors were on the banner. And fair enough, if that was how it was in JP, then I think that's a fair thing to say. However, now we're kind of seeing what the plan was to move this unit up and to kind of just offer Astrius here at the bottom, and we also do have Velis as well. We have Astrius here at the bottom. So this essentially gives us a chance to, if you would have pulled for Perrine, then you can now, if you have enough Viz, that is, you can now also pull for Amnelis and Astrius and have yourself a nice little overpowered OP. Not necessarily overpowered, but kind of know what I mean, where they're just like 3 really good units all at once. And I think that's actually really good the way Gumi kind of set this up. And it's kind of, to me, it's kind of a little important to see, just to kind of wait and see to see what the plan is sometimes, because these changes happen, and honestly, I feel like it's a little bit for the better here. And so another thing that they kind of, I feel like it was in good faith from Gumi, is that they brought back the pity meter. Now I'm pretty sure it's going to go away again. In fact, if we scroll down here to Astrius or Velis, they don't have a pity meter, so it's just like there. I think there's a mock shot pity, but it's they can't give us everything. It's kind of what I'm trying to say. But I think it was in good faith that they brought the pity meter back, and that it's actually the 25% chance pity. So I know a lot of people like that one, so I think that's pretty good that they brought that back. So one kind of thing that I'm kind of thinking about is, as a fire player, I should kind of be upset that we're getting so many water units, but I'm actually not upset about it. And that's because we just recently got a couple of pretty good lightning units, and lightning is actually a pretty strong element in general. So I think in terms of water units coming out right now, I feel like, again, Gumi, for the global version, they're kind of like rebalancing things to kind of not really give a specific unit as much of it, a specific element as much as an advantage as what they've had in the past. Granted, certain elements do seem to usually get the advantage, but I feel like now it's sort of being balanced out a little bit, and I do like when the game does things like that. So to me personally, I think that's a pretty good change and a pretty good balance. So one of the other things that isn't out this week, it should be in the notices here, give me a second to find it, is the new VC that's coming out. So the thing with this VC, I think it's here. The thing with this VC is that it's probably not going to be great for most people, but it is going to be a standard pool VC. So I'm kind of looking at this VC and I am very tempted to pull it just because it's giving me something specifically that I personally wanted, and that is hate down for Minwoo. And I literally needed this for Minwoo specifically, so this is actually really good for me. Again, this is going to be one of those vision cards with all the different jobs, but if you kind of look at the jobs here, there's actually some ones here that should work out pretty well with the magic up. So that's gloves, book equipable, and I think great sword and staff. There's staff. I think great sword, even though a lot of great sword are physical, that does include rain. So I feel like there's a lot of good types here, that a lot of good units within those that could actually take advantage of this. So the reason that I wanted this hate down on Minwoo is because I was using Venera's TMR, but the thing with Venera's TMR is that it would take an extra turn, so it would just really just mess up her AI in terms of casting the right things. She would fall behind and then she would buff herself for no reason, and I would want her to buff the other units. It is really interesting that it gets the agility up. Now, at first I thought this was a party effect, but it's a bestowed effect. So but in any case, that is still pretty good considering that I want this for Minwoo, because her specific weapon from the selection quest actually also gives her an agility up. I feel like it made a really good difference in terms of having her keep up with the other units, and even more agility up from this card. It's gonna essentially turn her into a speed demon. So this area resistance up, it's kind of pretty good for fire as well. But in terms of my setup, I actually had one VC where I was just floating around, so I think the area resistance up is going to be pretty good. So I think that might actually work out pretty well for me personally. But in any case, I think most people are going to skip this, but in any case, this might be a card that would be pretty good in terms of picking it up like randomly later, just because it literally fits into jobs that are actually going to benefit from the magic up. And most likely, I think any job would benefit from the area attack resistance up. So I think that's going to be pretty cool. So one of the other things I wanted to mention here, if we go back into the notices, is the manual PvP. This time it was manual. It was another fun tournament to watch. And again, it's mostly for, there is a lot of high level players, but I don't really think there's anything here. Well, congratulations to Luca, of course. But yeah, it's mostly for higher level players, but I think a lot of us kind of aspire to try to do manual. Just because like a lot of times auto kind of just, it takes time to tune and doesn't necessarily do what you want it to do, and certain units don't necessarily behave the way they should be doing. And honestly, I feel like when it comes to like multiplayer PvP gaming, I feel like there needs to be some kind of manual control. This is somebody who's coming from like Pokemon and like, you know, fighting games. I kind of like being able to have like a skill level involved. Not just, I mean, setting up your unit is definitely there's an amount of skill level to that, but also just controlling your units just makes it feel like you're playing more like you're playing a game. This is for a game that we kind of like spend a lot of time on auto, so I kind of just appreciate that very much. So yeah, again, the thing with the PvP is that there's just like a high skill cap, and a lot of it depends on your trust stones and VCs and equipment. But I actually was very happy to see a play with the slow resist trust stone, and I thought that was actually pretty good, and it was kind of like a little bit of a learning experience for myself. So one of the things about manual play is that the battles take a lot longer, so I feel like because of that we weren't able to see as much diversity and as many teams as I would have wanted to see. And on top of that, there was something that they said during the tournament where it's like in auto, you kind of know what's gonna happen. So like, if you run the same team again, they're probably gonna run the same way. But on manual, you can change what you do. You can change up your strategy, and you don't have to worry about certain skills being disabled. So basically, if you win with a team and your opponent already kind of saw your strategy, you can kind of just come in with the team and play it slightly different, and you kind of already know how to use the team, so it kind of makes it so that we don't see as many teams because people kind of reuse the same teams. But aside from that, I think it was really good to see Kane and Shadowlynx as a team. We kind of think of Kane as an out-of-date unit, but it's actually pretty good that we were able to see him on there. One of the things I didn't necessarily like was that with the teams with the cost limit, people tend to just bring 2 double cost units and then they just throw Slime on there, or like Zazan or something like that. I feel like that kind of makes it a little less fun to watch, just because the skill cap window, you're still kind of requiring to have like 2 pretty good quality 100 cost units. So it just feels like a little bit less fun. Again, I'm not really necessarily saying to the players that it was a bad strategy or anything. It just, to me, it was just a little bit less fun. And of course, like a lot of times when it comes to winning, you have to use the not fun strategy. So maybe that's why I lose so often. Okay, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it in terms of what I have to say about that. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to kind of just bring back is that when we saw Jaden and Sylvie, when Sylvie came out, I was kind of just like, man, Sylvie's just going to be another unit for light. But going back to what I was saying about the Perrine, Amnelis, and Astrius kind of combo here, I feel like Gumi is now giving us a few more chances to be able to, for our element, get an OP team, like a nice little 3 combo of a team, and then just be able to use them in PvP. So I think in terms of that, it's actually pretty good. In terms of last week with the guild raid, that was very fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I managed to do pretty well. I'm very happy with the score, some of the scores that I got, especially in terms of my water team here. I feel like I'm really happy with that score. And my fire team, I didn't necessarily want to get like top 3 just all to myself, but the way that guild raid happens to be set up is that one of the bosses essentially gets blocked out once it gets beaten, or like multiple of them, until the round is over. So to me, it's a little hard to be able to attack. People just left freeze S for me, so I was just able to use my fire team repeatedly here. And then some of the other ones, I'm not super happy with my scores here. The earth team, I kind of messed up a few times. My slow didn't land and things like that, so I didn't really end up getting good scores on that. The wind team, I'm kind of a little bit impressed because my wind team is not super good, but I was able to find a nice little combination of units here that I was able to use pretty to my advantage. And then finally, the lightning team. I managed to mess up twice on this with my orders of attacks, and I think, was there a slow, or there was something in there that kind of messed up my turn order. So I think I actually ended up scoring worse the second time, but I feel like I could have done it in the upper 600,000s and instead of the mid 600,000s. And I actually missed an entire day because of the maintenance. So I kind of wish that they would have a maintenance, a little better of an indicator or notification for maintenance. And that's kind of what I have here. I have a screenshot from another game that I play, King of Fighters. So you can see here, sort of to the top left, there's a clock icon with a exclamation point. It's sort of like right under where my name is. And what that is essentially is right before the maintenance or right before the refresh, they essentially warn you that, hey, you're going to lose these items and there's only a certain amount of time left. So what that looks like is here, these specific items are about to expire. better use them before the 21 hours expires. So I think War of the Visions, I would be really happy to see something like this. Maybe give like a 48-hour notice. I feel like that would be the ideal, so that you can prepare yourself a day in advance. So yeah, that's kind of it for me, guys. Oh, and one other thing that I wanted to mention, just because of the ability, because we have the War of the Crystals banners back up, we do have the ability to go in here to our soul medals, and that's something I'm going to take advantage of here, is just going to be able to get Velis shards for the time being. And I'm probably not going to get him to Mog medals, but once I do get him to Mog medals, I should be able to get some Mind Spheres off of that as well. Alright, so I think that video is kind of long enough. I talked enough, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.